Hey, hi, how are you? My name's Felt, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Today, we're talking about something that I made a meme video on, and I decided I was also going to make a serious video on it, and that is, why do I have alt characters inside of Final Fantasy XIV? This game is well known for basically being able to do absolutely everything on one character. You don't really need more than one character for any reasons, right? So why on earth does this person that I watch make content on the game have 3 freaking characters? Well, let's start with the number one reason. For those of you who don't know how this works, Savage Loot has a system in place where the only way you will get the maximum amount of loot from it, i.e. there will be 2 chests full of loot at the end of the raid, is if all 8 people have not cleared the fight that week. If 1 person has cleared the fight, you're already down to only having 1 chest. If 5 people have cleared the fight, you're down to having 0 chests. So, for someone who likes to play with their friends, who has a couple of friend groups that play the game, I like having multiple characters to essentially have a backup of, oh, you need someone who can help you savage raid who's competent at the game, but hasn't cleared for the week on a character because you still want full loot. I'm your guy, right? That leads into a whole conversation about how Savage Loot functions in this game as a whole. I don't think it's a huge problem. I do find it a little annoying that you lose an entire chest if you have 1 person who hasn't cleared, but that's really neither here nor there as to why I have alts. Number 2 reason? Glamour. I think that's a joke, but I really like being able to just, like, have different characters dressed up different ways. It's one of the cool parts of the game. I like being able to have an Aura, male Vieira, and a female Makote characters to, like, glam up, dress up, and make them look like whatever I want. That wasn't the part of the video that I made last time that was a joke. I really do like having multiple characters with multiple, like, visual styles. It's really fun to me. It's an interesting part of the game to be able to glamour. That might sound a little silly to some people, but it's something that I personally just really enjoy. Next, reason number 3 is actually a gearing thing. That might sound surprising because you're like, well, but Phil, you've said it already. It's a big thing in this game that you can pick up and play every job on 1 character. Yes, but, and this is a really large but, you are limited in the amount of materials you can farm out each week that help you get better gear for those characters. If I want to get endgame loot to be able to play Black Mage in endgame, I need to be farming out elegant tomestones of, currently they are, causality. Last patch they were astronomy. They've had different names in previous patches as well, but the bottom line is you have a limited number of these you can get each week. I can only get 450 a week, which means I am limited in the things that I can buy each week. I farmed for 2 full weeks to buy a single pair of pants for my Black Mage. If I wanted to play Dragoon, like randomly just swap and say, you know what, no, I don't really want to play Black Mage. I got an extra ring from PF rating for my Dragoon. I want to play Dragoon now. Well, now I have to start buying Dragoon gear, and now I'm 2 weeks behind. And if I change my mind again and go, oh, well, I want to go play Sage, I'm now even further behind because my Sage doesn't have any of the new gear at all. So, while, yes, you can play everything on 1 character, it is very difficult to gear up to the best in slot on multiple jobs on the same character. That is another reason why I personally like to have multiple characters. This allows me to do stuff like, okay, well, I get my Black Mage on this character up to best in slot, and then I get Dragoon afterwards. So that when I'm hopping on Salamanda, my, like, quote-unquote main character, and I have a Samurai and a Monk geared, because they share gear sets, I can then gear up, like, I don't know, Machinist afterwards, or Bard. And still have access to being able to play Dragoon and Black Mage, because they were geared on another character. And then my other alt, Post Sprountington, with an extra N in his name because I typoed when making him. That's never going away. I can play, like, Summoner and Reaper, for example. Or, like, just Dark Knight and Scholar. You know, I can choose what jobs I'm wishing to play on, like, essentially any given patch. And my other characters can help me kind of fill in the gaps so that I can continuously play those jobs in endgame content. And be in the best gear possible so that I can bring the best damage possible, which matters a lot for stuff like Savage, or Ultimates, or Extreme Trials, any of that type of stuff. And the last most important reason why I have so many alts, I make content on this game. I make videos, I stream it a lot. It's hard for me to not want to talk about the fact that one of the reasons I have multiple characters is so I can continue to do stuff in the game. I got my Savage reclears of 5 and 6 done within 2 hours with my static the other day. Right, so that means I don't have to really do those fights in Savage and PF on my main character, but I can make content out of hopping into PF on my other 2 characters, trying desperately to get clears on them, which can often lead to funny, humorous, and wild situations. So yeah, that's all the reasoning. That's all what I have to say about this, essentially. I'm going to wrap this up by talking about, do I think you, the viewer, should have an alternate character? Personally, I'm going to go with no. Unless you have a ton of time to spare, unless you are also making content on the game, or unless you are in a very serious raid group that does split clears, or you're a part of 2 separate statics, so you need 2 characters who haven't cleared each week. There's really no reason to do what I do and have so many characters. The biggest reasons are either you're in multiple raid groups and you need your characters to have not collected loot that week, or you're in an incredibly serious raid group that does split clears. If you don't know what split clears are, it is essentially you have half of your party go in on their mains, and everyone that is on their main jobs essentially gets fed the gear, and the other half of the party is on alt jobs, and then you flip-flop. So essentially, you can do full clears of the fights 2 full times and give more loot out. So for example, your team comp includes, say, Dragoon, Monk, Red Mage, Dancer as your DPS, right? Well, on the first run-through for the week, you can dump all your gear into your Monk on their main, while the Dragoon is on their ult. And on the next run-through, you can dump all the gear into your Dragoon, while the Monk is on their ult. And then the week afterwards, you can dump it all into the Red Mage, and dump it all into the Dancer, giving you essentially more loot for more effort. And the same can be said for the tanks and healers. It essentially allows you to gear up twice as fast from Savage loot. Although you still have to wait to buy stuff for Tombstone pieces, which is a bit frustrating, but that's an issue for another video. However, that's my entire piece to say about alts in 14, and why you should do it, or why you should not do it, or why I do it. If you like this discussion, like it. If you want to see more stuff like this, subscribe. Either way, thank you for hanging out and watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.